The beginning?
Mm-hmm.
I would say the beginning that I can truly just remember a big change in my feelings about feeling better about being myself at a young age was when my mom bought me my first tape cassette when I got my tonsils out. And she brought it home with a coloring book and some crayons, and I put it on. I remember I was laying in her bed, you know, healing from all that. And I listened to it, and then as I got better and better, I would put it on the stereo in the front living room, and my mom and me would just dance for hours. And I think the first time that I really realized that I wanted to do something like what I do now was watching my mom listen to She's Out of My Life, that song by Michael Jackson from the Off the Wall album. And I remember walking in on her listening to it and singing along with it, and she was just really crying and feeling very emotional. And you know, I knew my mom was real sensitive at a very young age. You know, I just kind of could feel her energy. But when I saw her feeling so much from a song, I knew that, like, that it was healing her, and I wanted to be a part of being able to give that kind of energy to people, especially my mom. You know, so I think that was the moment. It was, and she bought the tape. She didn't even know, you know, that album was going to be so healing, but it was. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Okay, well, this interview's over.
No, stop it!
That's enough.
I'm trying not to cry. You're not allowed to cry. There's no crying.
This isn't baseball.
Right!
This is music, and this is like the story of our healing. This is the story of our becoming comfortable in our skin, and that is why we do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is the ultimate solar-powered endeavor. Oh, Lord. Okay. So what did you do next?
Well, so then after I realized that, you know, music could do that, then I heard the song by the Eurythmics, Sweet Dreams, and that's when I felt like I had maybe a voice. You know, it was like, oh, I can sing along to that, and I would take, like, different members of my family out in the backyard and be like, listen, does this sound okay? You know, and I'd just sing it to them, and you know, some would just be like, oh my gosh, you're so, you know, silly. Well, I don't know what year that song came out. Whatever year that probably that song came out. I don't know.
You could just
like
guess.
Maybe. I know by second grade of school, I asked my mom if I could take singing lessons. You know, I knew that by then. So, you know, I don't really know how old I was when that song, you know, came, but that song made me think that maybe I could actually sing. Like, that I had some different kind of voice, you know. And thinking back to it, it was probably me making some strange frog sounding voice, but didn't sound like my voice to me, but I knew I could somehow change my voice. Because I used to think that I had to change my voice to make it sound good for people. That was when I was really young, you know. Then you get older and you realize that it's not your voice, it's just what you give out is what your voice is, truly. For me, it's like the less I think of me, then the more it comes out, the trueness. So, but I tried really hard to sing, and I remember, you know, that, and then I remember when my mom paid for me to have singing lessons from my little music teacher at my grade school that I went to. So I would walk there. I'd stay there after school, and my music teacher, she would give me little singing lessons. You know, she just thought it was so nice that I cared, I think, you know, about music. And she would play the piano, and she would teach me songs like this from The Sound of Music, and more classical, you know, type songs, and that wasn't really what I wanted to sing, but that's what, you know, I had to sing. And then on my walk home from there, though, I would have my little Walkman on, and that's when I would listen to, like, you know, all the music I really wanted to sing. You know, like,
what was some of that?
like Troop and I'll Be Sure and Tony, Tony, Tony. I mean, they blew my mind. Like, I just, you know, but that came a little later. Right then, I don't know, it was maybe Stevie Wonder and Aretha Franklin, and my mom liked the Supremes, so that too. But I think my own tape cassettes came maybe a couple years later when I would walk back and forth, from school. So that might have been, like, you know, in the 80s. I don't know when, but sometime in the 80s. And I would just sing without thinking that anyone could hear me, you know, in the neighborhood. But they probably were like, what is going on? I don't know why. I just believed that I needed to sing. I think it was just because it made me feel so good and feel healing myself, you know. I just wanted to share that. Yeah.
How did you meet Elkin?
Well, so when I was, so from singing music, then I realized that I liked dancing. So it kind of went hand in hand because the music would make me want to move. So that's when I got into dancing, and I met these two girls in school. It was before that, though, that I met him. I think I was just always dancing, watching videos, trying to figure out the dance moves. I took dance lessons, took jazz, you know, but I didn't really want to do jazz. It was just the only thing that was close enough to street dancing that I could take a lesson at. Now they have, you can take any kind of dance you want now, but as a kid it didn't really exist. So me and my cousins, we would try to learn how to do dances, you know, in the neighborhood. And then I started going to dances. Then it was like I was old enough to go to school function dances, you know, with your parents or you know, chaperones were there and stuff. I would dance, and I just loved it. And I met some friends too and cousins. But there was a summer before my 8th grade year, so I went to another school's summer dance. And I was dancing, and that's when that movie School Days came out, and that the music and that and everything, the style, it was just so exciting to me. And I loved doing that kind of line dancing, you know, like street line dancing, not country line dancing, but like where the movement, all of a sudden everyone would be together without even knowing how we all got into this thing, you know. And I'm dancing around, and I just look back because someone grabbed my waist, and I looked back in the line, and it was him. And I couldn't believe it because I had seen him already like years before, probably when I was in 2nd grade or 3rd grade. My best friend that I grew up with, she went to the same school as him, which was different than mine, and I would look through her yearbooks, and there he would be on a page, you know, kind of by himself, or maybe just like 2 other people because his last name started with a Z. So I would just look at it for him every year, and he just kept getting cuter and cuter. Like he just there's something about this boy that, like, everything about him, I felt this weird funny connection that I just became like cutely obsessed as a little girl about this little boy. And when I looked back and it was him, and I knew it was him, because just no one was him, you know, even in all of the yearbook. It was like, so I looked back, I freaked out, I couldn't believe it, and it was the song "Da Butt" by EU, you know, and we were doing "Da Butt," and that was him, and it was the perfect moment to meet, you know. So then afterwards, he asked me if I wanted to go out, but I was only 12, you know, so I wasn't allowed to go out, but I didn't want him to know that, so I think I just kind of stood there, like, totally freaked out for a while. And then I think I lied and said I was older than what I was, and that I went to some other high school because I didn't want him to, like, leave, you know. I didn't want him to be like, oh, you're just a little kid, because I didn't feel like a little kid, you know. I was much more, like, with it than most little kids. And somehow I think we exchanged phone numbers, or maybe we ended up seeing each other again at another dance, but from then on we just became dance partners. Like, we would meet up at every under 21 or under whatever those little dance places back then, and we'd just dance our asses off, and we were great dancers together. We always had really good rhythm together, so it kind of makes sense when I look back, you know, or if we play hand drums together. It's just like this strange energy that we have, that we're never doing the exact same thing. And even in our marriage, we don't just do the same thing. We don't think the same way, but we're always like very rhythmic with each other in just things that we do. It's a really strange meeting. It's really strange that we met. Yeah, I know, and people think it's so crazy. How can you just do that young? I don't know, though. It's just always gone back to that. I don't know. So when he went away to college, he learned how to play the guitar. And I would skip school, drive up there all the time, and he'd be playing his guitar in his dorm room, and we'd just hang out. And then we saw the movie Poetic Justice, and I was like, I know what we need to do. You play the guitar, and I always wrote, you know, I always had poems and thoughts and journals and everything, you know. I was like, you know, because you've done what it's like, let's just create an entire feeling with it, you know. So, well, one of the first big defining moments, I think, was some friends of ours wanted to do this thing called the garden party. And that's why, like, right now, I feel so much in ways sometimes as I did at that time, because it was a group of people that we met this group of beautiful musicians and just beautiful clowns and beautiful, like, they just were all these, like, things that I had never met before in my life, like-minded people, and they wanted to do a garden party. They got the venue to do it. It was out in the country, and it was this big amphitheater, and just grass, you know. There was no other buildings. There was nothing around, and like, the guys were like, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to make a schedule, and here's your schedule, and this is what time you're going to play, and you're going to play, and then we're going to have grilled cheese sandwiches for everyone, and we're going to, you know, it was like, and then I was like, okay, and I'll bring this, and I'll make this, and it was just like this great collaborative thing of a garden party of the earth, you know. And that, I think, hitting that stage with Elkin and with everyone, and knowing everyone behind, knowing what had all come to that moment. I mean, there was 200 people there, maybe, you know, as a collective. That first group was, I would say, the basis for the psychedelic mindset of, you know, what I have part of me of is that group of people. They were my psychedelic mind, where I learned so much and, like, grew so much in my mind, right? And Elkin too, like. And then came a group, I would say, after that, it kind of went into, then it became all of these other people we met that were, I guess, hip-hop. They're the hip-hop underground group of our city. And we met them in a warehouse. We used to practice in this warehouse. And then all of a sudden, some of those people would also practice in this warehouse. And then it was just like, now it's back to that poetry thing. You know, it's like, it's so crazy, like, how all the things just come back to that. But then it was just back to, oh, well, you know, you have this experimental kind of psychedelic vibe going on with all these people, and then you bring in, like, hip-hop, which comes from my city, you know, from my town. I mean, it was such a just selfless, raw, you know, passing the mic all night, you know, like, just standing there or sitting there laying around or whatever, meeting up in different people's houses, you know, and, you know, things are going on that I, you know, am so young and new to, and I have no idea, you know, I'm just this young girl in this place of all these people. I have no idea what's going on, but I feel equal. I guess that's where I then very much felt a sense of, I've always believed in equality, you know, but it was like this sense of a higher, heightened from the psychedelia, and then the equality of being with people that are so strong in their fight to be a certain, you know, to be in a certain kind of roughness, you know. Not a bad roughness, but like toughness. Tough, you know, tough. Strong, tough. I love that feeling. I love the feeling that my hip-hop friends gave me of that. I mean, they inspired me like you wouldn't believe. And then again, even in that group, I met, you know, just some angels that just so much kindness and gentleness. And yeah, like, it's just a great group of people. That was a great time. So good, yeah. And that's when I brought in, or collaborated then with a boy who did electronic beats on a sampler keyboard, and then another boy who spun, and so he would spin and scratch and do like, you know, like what Cordis does, and then the other guy did samples, and then we threw in what we did, and we all collaborated, and then that became F.U.Z.Z.
So then, let's talk a little bit about the Bassmint Collective, because that's an interesting way.
Have you ever heard of them?
To kind of form a band.
Yeah,
and it's not a band,
like
but what is it?
For me personally, I feel like it's giving. It's so much more giving than anything else, you know, that I've ever done musically. Like, and therefore, I can't. I'm so like, thankful is the word, but it's just more than just thankful. That just sounds, you know, it's like a feeling of all the different sides of music. Let's just talk about it musically. All the different things of music inside of me that touch me, that have inspired me, that have always, like, you know, I go nuts. You know, I just go nuts over certain things that happen in music. The Bassmint Collective has been all these people that all just keep popping that in, and it just keeps coming in, and it just feels much more pure. It's so much more pure. We're the next evolution. We're the next part of what's going on. And things are going on right now in our world, and we know because we know now. We know so much more now. You know, because of technology, because of time and space and all that, you know, but we know. So we feel, I think we just feel so much. And we always have, but now we know what we're going to do, what we have to do. Yeah.
What's your goal as far as, like, for yourself, artistically, creatively, musically? Like, where, you know, if you could say what your mission is at this point, you're going to put it in words as opposed to just stand on a stage and be it, which is what you do just brilliantly, naturally.
I would say my goal would be to be able to be in a room or a space or whatever. My goal is just to be in a space where, just to be able to remind people to just think. You know, just, I think getting that chance, you know, and when I say think, I don't mean like think, I don't know, maybe that's too like dull, but like just to remind people of their insides, of their soul, of their feelings, to make them feel their skin and feel that they're real. You know, like, to me, I'm gonna cry, but to me, like, I just know that in life, you know, there's so many things that we all go through and are going through and will go through, and just to have those moments where you just get to breathe and just feel that you are, you know, part of everything, that, you know, things don't seem then as scary, things don't seem as condemning, you know, things can seem a little, even just in that space, you know, if that's the space I get, I just want to, you know, just remember, you know, those things that, because we can't, like, stop things from happening, we can't stop the war, we can't stop it, but, like, if my part in it is just that, then hopefully that will then cause the next to do. That's just what I believe. I just know that's all I can do. You know, I don't have a lot of money. I can't give a whole lot of money away to some charity or anything like that, you know, but I know that if I can just give that energy, then maybe someone that has that money will go and do that, or whatever, you know. I don't know what it causes, but it definitely feels good. And think about it, when you get to be in front of all those people, and everyone's different, right? Every single person's different. So it's like being able to, you know, speak to someone who, you know, grew up, you know, in Indiana, and you see, like, crazy things written, you know, about hating people, and I don't know, you just see all this stuff, and you're always, like, kind of judged, and then you go to, like, another country, and, you know, people are riding around on mopeds with their babies on their back, you know, and it's like all this stuff is going on. There's just more, there's so much, right? And so I think coming back to just, you know, just live inside, just live in and out, just be it right now, instead of, like, because anything that you compare or that you condemn or that you, it just means nothing. It's just so meaningless. You know, it's a waste of time. You know what I mean? It's just a big waste. People waste so much time on just nothing. You know, and maybe that's the way that they just keep their mind off of shit, you know? But instead of just dulling your mind and keeping your mind off of shit, I mean, what are you doing? What's your point? You know? Is that your point? Think about it. Think about that. That's your point? I don't know. It's hard because I don't want to talk about bad things, you know, but sometimes when you're always up here trying to, like, dig out of that and giving all this good stuff, then sometimes you're just like, ugh! I just get so, like, yeah, shitty about stupid things, ignorance and hate. I just don't understand it. I never have. Never understood that. It's a waste of time. What do you think?
I think you're a fucking genius.
Oh, stop, Gina!
Or, you know, or let me rephrase that. I think that any real human brilliance is in being able to listen and understand the true fiber of God, aka music, aka anything that's, like, really real, and what this is pulsing in our skin that's so valuable. Yes. So therefore, that's the brilliance. Like, if you can be a vehicle for that, if you can somehow sign up to be a translator for that, if you can just in any way support that agenda, even if you're hanging on by your tooth and nail sometimes, then that's the brilliance. And so because that's what you do, I say that you're fucking brilliant. And ultimately, like, the brilliance of which I speak is that brilliance that's formless and nameless, and that we all are obsessed with on some level, whether it's because we're so drawn toward it or so afraid of it or whatever. But like, you know, that's really all there is anyway. So
yeah.
So here we are. That's why we're having an interview and talking about the details so that there's some kind of form to then occupy and navigate space, you know, and use that as a way to connect people together and have a context behind a stage so that it's more than just music, because at this point it has to be more than just music.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's an activism that's tied into music now in a way that there's, with an urgency that there's never been. Like, we're falling apart at the seams as a global culture, not as like one person, one band, one house, one town, one nation under God. No, this is like, dear God, everybody. The world is in trouble. So our music takes on new dimensions, and that's why the Bassmint Collective has to be born, because like we need more room now as musicians to be able to have our platform, and we just need platforms that are more equipped and organically fitted to this now. And like the old industry of music is kind of as broken as every other old industry, and like if the Bassmint Collective is in fact a record company or a recording studio or just a treehouse club, nobody knows, but it's some kind of a combination of the three, and it's a refuge for the creative spirit, for a group of musicians who, you know, just agree on what the creative spirit is for and about.
Yes.
I would say that.
Yes.
So.
Amen. Yes! That's right. That's right.
That's right. And you and Elkin are doing it. I mean, you have a recording studio in your house now, and you're recording people, and you're recording bands. Maybe just talk a little bit about what you're doing now.
Oh, there have been just so many different people that have come through here, and new ones now that are getting ready to start coming this week, and it's just, I mean, you already saw it before it happened anyway, when you were here, you know, this is what this space somehow has to be for. I'm just inspired. Anybody who comes down here, and when they do what they do, and if they allow me to go sit on that couch and listen, I am just in heaven. It's a dream. It's a dream come true to create a space where people can come and do what they do. You know, Elkin just itches to do it. He loves recording people. He loves being focused, minded in that way. He just flows so good with that. Like, well, this is what I do, then I'll do this, then I'll do this, then I'll plug this, and then I'll plug this, and, you know, and he'll just be all sweaty and crazy, you know, but he loves it. Like, he just loves it, and he loves giving that person that piece, and like, this is what you do, and they're like, what? Because everyone's so different. Oh, that's just the beauty of it all, you know. Just love it.
Thank you, Mimi.
Thank you, Gina. You're so sweet. Oh, gosh. I love this face.